the other. For us Rwandans, it's a time we will never forget. The genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda started on the 7th of April, 1994, lasted 100 days, claiming 1 million innocent lives. We are here today for the 30th commemoration of the genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. We are in 100 days of Kwibuka period. This is a period of honoring the memory of those who lost their lives. It is also a period of reflection. We reflect on the atrocities that happened in Rwanda in 1994, and also reflect on the journey our country Rwanda has been on for the last 30 years. At the start of this Kwibuka period, His Excellency, the President of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, told us that this is also a period of gratitude. And this is because we look back and appreciate the country we have today. In today's program, we will hear a testimony from a genocide survivor, which is at the heart of the reason we're here today. We will also hear about where Rwanda has come from and where we are today, along the Kwibuka theme of Remember, Unite, and Renew. Our keynote of the day will be delivered by His Excellency Johnson Busingye. I would now like to welcome our chairman, the chairman of the Yorkshire Rwandan Community Association, that's Jimmy Kanyambo, for his welcoming remarks.
Good afternoon. My name is Jimmy Kanyambo, the chair of Yorkshire Rwandan Community Association. I wish to extend a warm welcome to His Excellency Johnson Busingye, the Rwandan High Commissioner to United Kingdom. Your Excellency, your presence honors us and underscore the significance. We extend our special thanks to the Lord Mayor of the Leeds Councillor, now, guess what, to the new Mayor, Abigail Marshall, the Councillor, David Denton. We are honored to have you this afternoon. We are delighted to have you with us, Ms. Sophie Masereka, a survivor of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Sophie, your courage and the resilience are an inspiration to our all. We are delighted to have you with us, Your Excellency, High Commissioner, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today we gathered here with heavy hearts and in presence to privilege to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. It is a solemn occasion to remember unimaginable atrocities that occurred during those dark days, where over 1 million innocent Tutsi women and children lost their lives in just 100 days. The genocide, driven by ethnic hatred and division, stands as one of the most horrific chapters in human history. The events of 1994 shook the world and exposed the darkest depth of human cruelty in Rwanda. Extremist element within the Hutu-led government planned implemented the genocide against the Tutsi. Families were torn apart. community shattered and public and yet, this darkest ray of hope, the Rwandan Patriotic Front RPF under the leadership of President Paul Kagame, bravely intervened to halt the genocide of the Tutsi and the slaughters of innocent lives. Their terrorism and the sacrifice saved the countless Rwandan lives and prepared the way for a new beginning. Today, Rwanda stands as a beacon of resilience and hope. The progress made in the past 3 decades is a testament to the indomitable spirit of the Rwandan people and their unwavering commitment to building a better future. As we reflect on this somber anniversary, let us renew our resolve to never forget the victims and the survivors of the 1994 genocide against Tutsi. We will never forget it. We are so proud that the Rwanda High Commission in the UK is partnering with the UK City Councils to establish the preserved 1994 genocide memorial stones across the UK. So far, genocide against the Tutsi memorial stones are established in Nottingham, Manchester, Liverpool, Plymouth, and in a few weeks, the Rwandan community in Newcastle will open the 5th edition. Accordingly, Rwanda community in Yorkshire will be grateful to have memorial stone established in the late city in honor of the victim 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Establishing the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi memorial stone in Leeds constitutes a great significance. Leeds City is among the largest legal, cultural, and the financial centers of the United Kingdom. The city also plays an academic functions role, being among the cities with the largest student population in the country. Therefore, in addition to honoring the victims of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, the memorial stone in Leeds will also offer valuable opportunities to diverse young generations from across the world and to understand the genocide against the Tutsi and its far-reaching implications. Furthermore, the memorial stone will be an opportunity for academia and researchers to learn more about the Rwanda's discovery experience and very importantly to recommit towards the new world which is free from hatred and the genocide ideology. We have no doubt that with the current goodwill and the partnership between Rwanda High Commission in the UK and the Leeds City Councils, this significant milestone will be attained. Once again, I thank you, Excellency, and the distinguished guests for taking out your precious time to be with us today. Thank
you. Thank you, our chairman, Jimmy Kanyambo. At this moment, I would like to welcome the Leeds Jewish Community representative, Susie. Thank you so much for coming to be with us today.
Thank you. His Excellency, Lord Mayor, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Susie Gordon, the Chief Executive of a Jewish organisation that represents the Leeds Jewish community and the surrounding areas. On behalf of all of us, it's absolutely a privilege not just to be invited here today, but to address you all as well. It's deeply moving to be here on a day just not of remembrance, but of reflection as well. The echoes of the Rwandan genocide resonates very deeply within me and the Jewish community. Two weeks ago in the Jewish calendar, we commemorated a day called Yom HaShoah. It marks the unspeakable atrocities against various groups, primarily targeting, murdering 6 million Jews during World War II. When I hear the word genocide, it comes with it great significance. In 1941, the Nazis implemented what they called the final solution, a systematic plan to eliminate the entire European Jewish community through examples such as establishing extermination camps such as Auschwitz-Birkenau, where millions were brutally murdered. And then obviously in 1994, the Tutsi Holocaust unfolded, and a systematic plan aimed at wiping out each and every member of the Tutsi group. From what I believe, 800,000 people were brutally murdered. It's hard to comprehend the scale of violence with the sheer numbers. And why? Because of the way they identified themselves. Just because of their identity. Our history serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of hatred, intolerance, and devastation that can happen. Discrimination and hatred can only bring harm and suffering. How could such atrocities happen? How can we ensure it never happens again? As we gather here today to remember the victims of terror in Rwanda, let us not just only mourn the past, but commit ourselves to building a future rooted in compassion, empathy, and respect for all people. In a world that is still often marked by violence and conflict, we affirm the values of every human life. A world where love triumphs over hate, and where the horrors of the past remain just that, in the past. May I share a short Jewish prayer to you all for peace. I'll translate it afterwards. Oseh shalom b'mamov, uya yesa shalom aleinu, ve'akol ha'alam v'rumuru amen. We hope that one who makes peace in the highest places will bring peace to us and to everyone in the world. And we all agree by saying amen. Thank you.
Your Excellency, High Commissioner of Rwanda UK, Lords Mayors, Honourable Councillor, distinguished guests, friends of Rwanda, ladies and gentlemen. We are gathering here today as Rwandan community in Yorkshire and friends of Rwanda to remember over 1 million Tutsi men, women and children who were murdered in a very grievous and deplorable manner during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda. Our people, we remember, were tragically killed for no other reason than the way they were created. We, Rwandan young generation, are committed to never forget. That's why paying fitting tribute to Tutsi who were murdered and honouring with all support at all levels those who survived from genocide against the Tutsi remained an important strand of our recovery process. Our strong commitment and belief around never again is about believing that the genocide will not happen again. For us Rwandans, it is the truth beyond doubt. Genocide will never, never happen again in Rwanda. However, that assurance required Rwanda something beyond believing. Our beloved President Paul Kagame put in place and sustained leadership that invests in unity and accountability among Rwandans. Under his incomparable leadership, Rwanda chose to take genuine actions around justice, forgiveness and tolerance, unity and reconciliation, and self-reliance. Our role as youth of Rwanda is to honour victims of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi by standing against hatred and divisions and highlighting genocide denial in all its forms. We call upon all Rwandan young boys and girls who are in Rwanda and abroad to work together in persevering the evidence of the genocide against the Tutsi, ensuring that the tragedy is not forgotten.
Horrific killings and rapes on a massive scale happened against the Tutsi on international community's watch and silence. We, Rwandans, experienced excessive sufferings from the genocide to the extent that we can never wish that what we endured would happen to any other country. That being so, pains we underwent will never allow us to keep silent when we see signs of genocide elsewhere. We would like to flag up genocide ideology that is being displayed through clear-cut hatred speeches by government officials of our neighbouring country, DRC, leading to full execution of genocide if nothing is done urgently. Atrocities and killings are taking place in DRC against Tutsi Congolese people, and FDRL, who committed genocide in Rwanda, take part in those killings. Rwanda always calls upon international community to take actions urgently to rescue Tutsi Congolese people who are being killed and sort out insecurity issues in Eastern DRC on basis of political and historical perspectives. Your Excellency High Commissioner, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to conclude by expressing once again our sympathy to the victims of the 1994 genocide against Tutsi and to the survivors, as we join our hands and efforts to draw lessons for preserving what Rwanda has achieved over the past 30 years. We thank you.
This is Rwanda today, a country transformed over the past 30 years. This new Rwanda has been forged out of the ashes of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, an event that shocked the world. Our story offers a warning of what can happen when political leaders preach division and hatred triumphs over humanity. But it also tells us what can be achieved when a determined people fight together for unity and reconciliation. This new Rwanda has been forged out of the ashes of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, an event that shocked the world. Our story offers a warning of what can happen when political leaders preach division and hatred triumphs over humanity. But it also tells us what can be achieved when a determined people fight together. This is our journey, told by those who have traveled together as we have moved from despair to hope. For much of the world, Rwanda first existed in 1994. And yet, our story starts long before this. Before colonialism, Rwandans had a rich culture, one language, and the people were united around their own organic form of governance. This all changed when colonial powers chose to control Rwandans by ethnicity, creating division and conflict where none had existed previously. This division grew into hatred and violence, culminating in the genocide against the Tutsi, where over 1 million people were murdered in 100 days.
Tukabona interahamwe zirirukanka bambaye amashara zamu zifite ubuhiri zifite imipanga aho mu isoko zibyina nta ukanda burende bahiga abatutsi mbese mu buryo bukomeye.
Maze kubona bikomeye, abantu batwika, abantu barya inka, abantu batemagurana za bariyeri bazishyizeho, yewe n'abana na madamu tujya kwa databukwe. Bari bafite imbaraga nyinshi. Abo bana rero bahamaze iminsi mike, hanyuma musaza wa madamu, se wabo, ufindimwe na se, n'abandi b'abavandimwe babo, nibo bafashe iya mbere, nta wundi wivanzemo, babajyana muri Nyabarongo. Barabaheka baragenda babata muri Nyabarongo, barangije barataha.
Muri Genocide 94 banyiciye imiryango yanjye mu bana 9 nabyaye, hasigayemo utwana 2.
Abana ba Mariya 2 n'umugabo wa Mariya, abo bose badusanze kuri bariyeri twe turagera tujya kubica.
Abagabo bacu babazamuye mu ngo bababwira ngo tugende tujye kwirinda, ariko bo bazi ikigiye kuvamo. Bahera ku mugabo wanjye kuko bari kuri lisite, bahita bamutsinda aho ngaho haruguru y'urugo gatoya, barabarashe, bamurashe amasasu, umwe aravuga ngo n'uyu sha mbaye hanuyu.
This genocide was long planned by the government of the time, who used education and the media to divide Rwandans, creating the conditions for the genocide to happen. The preparation of the genocide and of the 100 days of killings happened in full view of the world, who stood by, watched, and did nothing. No one came to Rwanda's rescue. The killings were only stopped when the Rwanda Patriotic Front overthrew the genocidal government. From that moment, Rwandans began the long, hard road to recovery, healing, and reconciliation.
Mu mwaka w'ibihumbi 2004 nibwo nafashe icyemezo cyo gusaba imbabazi Mariya. Mfati umwanzuro numvaga mvuga nti se wenda yaba ntari namusanzeyo kuko numvaga mfite ubwoba. Nkongera nkavuga nti se ubundi amaherezo yazaba yahe. Ngize amahirwe rero ubwo nuvuga ngo Mariya asanze ariyo. Nibwo namubwiye nti uko biri kose urabizi ngende mu bantu nyine bakwiciye, ariko noneho ndagira ngo umpe imbabazi.
Byagiye bigenda gahoro, uko dusabana, uko duhura, uko tuvugana, uko twigishwa, hacemo inyigisho nyinshi cyane, ntabwo byari byoroshye.
Hari ahantu neza nemereye neza ko imbabazi yazimpaye, narangiye ngira ku isantere ahantu mbambonye Mariya, naramuhamagaye turasangira, mbona aremeye turasangira. Muri njye uwo munsi numvise aribwo nafunguwe, numvise aribwo mvuye muri gereza.
To heal the wounds of a nation where neighbors killed neighbors, and even some family members turned on each other, the new Rwanda had to find a way to deliver justice for the victims, which could manage the scale of the crimes, and could also heal the torn social fabric of our society. So, we turned to our history for the answer. We set up Gacaca tribunals, a traditional form of community justice where citizens elected inyangamugayo, men and women of integrity in their communities, who heard almost 2 million genocide cases. This not only ensured that justice was delivered, but also established the truth of the killings. Reconciliation could begin at last.
Gacaca zimaze kugeramo, abaturage tugakorana, bari abafunguye bakaza. Bagashinjanya. Kanaka uwe kanaka twajyanye mu gitero. We kanaka twajyanye mu gitero. Ngo kuko abakoze jenoside, ngo kuko bagaragaye.
Abenshi ro muri Gacaca byatumye bamenya ko ababo bishwe, barihangana barazakira, bamenya naho bajuguwe.
We asked that the genocide survivors make huge sacrifices by putting aside their desire for retribution in favor of forgiveness and reconciliation. And we asked all Rwandans to leave the ethnic divisions in the past and embrace a future of Rwanda, where we are all Rwandan.
Nabaga muri CNLD, naje mfite ipeti rya General de Brigade. Kuyo dufata icyemezo tukava muri CNLD tukaza mu Rwanda, nuko twari tumaze kumenya neza ko leta y'u Rwanda ifite gahunda nziza yo kunga abanyarwanda, ikangurira abanyarwanda aho bari hose batahuke mu mahoro, kandi waza ikakwakira neza nk'umunyarwanda, ugatura aho ushaka, utuje, utekanye, nta kibazo gihari. Muri RDF igihe mazemo nabonye nta vangura ribamo. Umuntu akora akazi ashinzwe, nta kindi.
Rwanda is still a work in progress. It is up to the next generations to learn the true story of our past, to protect against genocide, denial, and hate, and keep the memory and the lessons of our history alive.
En fait, le négationnisme est en pleine expansion sur Internet, sur les réseaux sociaux, puis sur Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Le discours n'a pas changé. Certaines personnes vont par exemple prétendre que le génocide n'a pas été planifié, mais que les gens se sont mis en colère et ont commencé à tuer. Il faut qu'on soit plus nombreux à protéger la vérité, à protéger l'histoire du génocide contre les Tutsis sur ces plateformes-là.
We have made progress across every sector, creating a secure and ambitious country which offers opportunity and hope to all Rwandans.
Byahindutse ni byinshi nyuma ya jenoside yakorewe abatutsi. Umwana ariko akabona buruse atitawe ngo nuwo kwande.
Ndi umukobwa ukora mu bijyanye n'ubuvuzi ndetse nkaba ndi no muri siporo kandi byose nkambikora neza. Rero umwana w'umukobwa icyo namubwira nuko turashoboye muri rusange, ibyo twajyamo byose dushoboye kubikora neza ndetse turanahagarariwe hirya no hino kugeza ku mudugudu, turahagarariwe n'ijwi ryacu rishobora kumvikana.
For our friends around the world, we thank you for continuing to stand with us and ask you to share Rwanda's story and what we've learned about division and reconciliation at a time when the world seems increasingly more fractured. Rwanda's experience is one of unimaginable loss, but it is also the story of a people determined, of resilience, of sacrifice, and of rebirth. Rwanda today is proof that out of the depths of despair can come great hope.
Your Excellency, Rwanda High Commissioner in the UK, distinguished guests, Mayor of Leeds, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Mwiriwe. My name is Sophie Musabe Masereka. I'm married. I have 3 daughters, and I live in London, a place called Hacking. I'm going to summarize the journey I had in 62 days during the genocide against Tutsi in 1994, which lasted 100 days, where around 1 million of Tutsi and moderate Hutus were murdered, and I survived. During these darkest days, I witnessed the worst of human nature as Hutu-led government turned against Tutsi, the social class that I belonged at that time. Similar hatred and killing of Tutsi happened in 1959 when my parents and other Tutsis survived. They stayed and lived in Rwanda. They were underprivileged due to their ethnicity because they were Tutsis. My dad was educated to become a Seventh Adventist pastor. My dad graduated. He worked as a church leader, but he never promoted to become a pastor. Pastor children could get scholarship to proceed their education. As a result, we as children, we did not get education. Similar situation was happening to every Tutsi in Rwanda at that time, and we had IDs which stated that we were Tutsis. I just want to say a bit of history that I know. Another group of Tutsi who survived the war in 1959, they fled to the neighboring countries where they lived as refugees, suffering in different ways. The Rwanda government at the time denied these refugees to freely return home to their homeland. As a result, these refugees outside decided to group themselves and returned home in Rwanda to liberate the country. They came under the name RPF. They started the journey in 1990. The outbreak of this war triggered further increase of the hatred of Tutsi inside the country, which caused the planned genocide. This is how the hatred increased. We could find certain families disappeared, not to be seen again. There was nowhere to record. Other Tutsis were put to prison. The discrimination increased, calling us names like snakes, cockroaches. They are enemies. They were mistreating us in many ways. Many deep pits were they had been dug near Tutsi's home before genocide started. We had been told that they were to be public latrines. But once the killing began, those pits were used for the bodies of innocents. I witnessed this as I was a grown-up child. These are my parents. I witnessed this as I was a grown-up child. This is the only photo I have because we lost everything we had. I was holding my niece, Deborah. When this open killing started, I was in East holidays with my parents in Kigali, the capital city. We were 8 of us in the household, including my siblings, my mom and dad. 4 of them were killed. They were killed, my father, 2 brothers, and my niece Odette. We were together. I lost over 50 relatives, neighbors, and friends during this genocide. On 6 April 94, around 8 o'clock p.m., I had so much gunshot, more than the usual that I used to hear. That was the time the plane of the former president's plane was shot down. In the morning next day, my neighbors that I knew very well armed themselves and began killing me. I could see a crowd of people running in both directions. It was so scary. The innocent people were being burnt inside their homes. Others were thrown their latrines. There are those who were thrown in the rivers, tied up together so that they don't swim to get out. Many were thrown in the pits that they had prepared in advance. People were being cut by the machetes. Pregnant women will cut their bellies to make sure even the fetus is killed. The lucky ones paid money to be shot. So many other bad deaths that I cannot describe here. The aim was to kill every Tutsi. There is a day, one of them looked into my eyes and he said to me, "We'll kill you until our children will ask us how you looked like." But how did I survive? Roadblockers were placed in everywhere to stop everyone passing. They were checking IDs. If one is found Tutsi, it meant death. We had no food as we used to buy food every day. Water supply was cut off. Those allowed to move freely, they had to travel a long journey to fetch water. For Tutsis, water and food were not our first need. Our first priority was to find a hiding place. People were being hunted. If one is found, was killed like an animal. They instructed us to leave our doors, house opened. We obeyed. The announcement in the radio ordered to cut all bushes. There was nowhere to hide. One of our good neighbors gave us a room in his unfinished house. He risked his life. We sat on the floor all day, sometimes even at night. Miracles were happening around me every minute. Let me share with you some of them. One occasion, my young brother, Charles, and I were standing, wondering what to do. Suddenly, a killer came, grabbed my brother, killed him on the roadside, a few minutes away from me. That was the last moment I saw him. We did not get a chance to bury him. We don't know where his body was taken. Excuse me. When the same killer came for me, I had gone to tell my parents the bad news. I survived. Another time, I was added in the queue of those who were going to be killed. They were hitting people and throwing them in the pit, one by one. My time came. My leg was slashed with a machete. I fell down, ready to be pushed into the pit. A miracle happened. Behind me there was a man who was to follow after me. He ran. This man who was behind me, he ran. When he ran, they all ran after him. I got a chance to crawl and escaped. There was another day, a group of killers came for me. I was with my mom alone in the house. They looked so scary. There were many carrying weapons. I saw them through the glass window. They came banging the door, calling my name. When I tried to open our door for them, the door could not open. That door had refused to open since that very morning. It was as if somebody was locking it tight. My mom insisted that I could escape through the other doors. By the time the killers entered through the other door, I had gone. When they did not get me, they spared my mom's life. Still, they were looking for me. But that day, I survived. One time, I was found by one of the killers. He took me to his home. His aim was to kill my family and stay with me forever. But he did not harm me until I escaped. While going home, I saw one of the killers making a preparation of the pit near my home. He was opening it. It was the time my family was going to be killed and then thrown in that pit. As I approached, I saw my brother, my young brother, Dan, the middle one. He was making signs to me, doing this, that they were going to be killed. He was telling me to go. That was the day my father, my young brother, my niece, they were all killed and thrown in that pit. Just to let you know, because I knew where they were, after 10 years, the government allowed us to exhume the remains from that pit, and we washed them. And they were buried in Kisozi, in memory of Kisozi. We were convinced that those remains were theirs as we found my dad's ID was in his pocket. I want to take this opportunity to comfort everyone who have never found their beloved one. Mukomere. Let me continue my survival. I need to tell you. From my home, I needed to free father from the killing, from my father searching the safety. With the help of my good neighbor and one of my brothers, Ruben, this had an ID, a Hutu ID that allowed him to walk around. He told me to walk in the middle, him in the front, my neighbor behind. They were looking for safe places for me to pass. My brother told me to be calm. And I was found among the crowd as on the roadblock. A soldier saw me and he called me. He said I have to be killed immediately. The militian who had a gun, he pushed me and he made me to stand on the side. And he raised his gun. I knew that was my end. I made a quick prayer. My prayer was not to save me because I knew I'm going to die. I prayed for my God to accept me in his kingdom when the time comes. But a miracle happened. I saw a bullet dropping on the floor. Then I saw the killer bending to pick it up. My brother had the discussion how they were going to kill me. He then promised them the money, equivalent 20p, 200 francs, to spare my life. To cut my story short, this killer told me to go back where I was coming from. Then I heard the voice telling me that if I go back, I will go into that pit I left being opened. I told him, no, I'm going ahead. We continued the journey to St. Paul. Many people were there, including my mom, my sister, my nieces and nephews. There was no water. A good priest served us hot porridge in the evening, but not everybody got some to eat. Again, the hunger and the thirst were not a problem for us. The major problem was every day the killers came to pick some people to be killed. We survived the day, knowing that tomorrow will be our turn. And this happened every day. One day after taking a number of people to be killed, they told us that tomorrow they will come and burn the whole church, destroy us, all of us at once. They said that they were tired to kill one by one. We waited as we had nowhere to go. That night, we were supposed to be burnt. Next day, another miracle happened. That's why I'm here. The RPF, the army that was fighting to rescue the country, they came at night. They told us to get out. Many of us obeyed, even when we did not know who they were. We used to obey commands even when we were going to be killed. The difference at this time was that they lined us in the middle, and they were on our right, others on our left. So we walked in the middle of them. So we find a comfort by doing that. were going, we had a hope. On the way, some friends died because of starvation, others were caught by the crossfire. As we were taken by RPF army, the following day, those who remained in the church, they were all killed. There are two of us. We felt so sad. They led us to a safety place. My mom and I, with others, made it to the safety place. The RPF army told us, you have now survived. We could not believe. We felt so sorry to those who remained behind. That was my end of survival. I will forever be grateful for the sacrifice the RPF took during this rescue mission and many others across the country. There are those who lost their lives simply because of fighting to save us. The same spirit of love and care still prevails since the country was captured, till today. When I visit Rwanda, I see peace and safety. There is no ID anymore. All Rwandans are one. I can't fail to say that even here at the High Commission, the staff, the leaders, sorry, I was saying, I can't fail to say that even here at the High Commission, the staff, the leaders, the High Commission, all have the same spirit. I see it when I visit the office. I felt honored just recently when Your Excellency took a phone and called me to find out if I was fine. This showed me that I'm no longer hated. I'm recognized. Your Excellency, thank you so much. And Mr. Kavakensa, your wife, Your Excellency, thank you so much. I also want to thank you, the government, that you have accepted us. You listen and give us a platform as a survivor to express ourselves. This is a kind of healing, the trauma we have. Thank you. Who am I today? After surviving, I was traumatized so much. I did not want to get married. And I didn't want to have a family to be killed if genocide happened again. I thought I had no future. And I felt that I'm hated by everybody. I did not want to reveal to anyone who I was. It happened that I went to study in India. Now, my intention to go in here, I was running away from getting married. This pressure was so much in Rwanda. I thought that no man in India will marry me. By reaching India, I met this man. He was so interested in me. I'm now reaching at the end where there is a happy ending. And I told him that I was nobody. I'm not a person to marry. He convinced me saying that if I accept to marry him, he will be my father, my brothers, and my people I lost. This convinced me to get married. We got married, and we got children. We have 3 daughters, and now I have a family of 5. I don't know how I would be if I didn't have family. In conclusion, for 15 years, I did not want to reveal who I was, as I said, but today I talk often in the school and other places. as I'm speaking to you today. I want people to know about what happened in Rwanda in 1994 so that they can learn from the past and move on with life. Most importantly, through my sad story, I want people to fight and find ways to prevent future similar atrocities to happen anywhere in the world. I have no fear to share my story anymore. I'm happy that I was able to put my story in a book which will reach where I can't go. Thank you so much for inviting me and for listening to me.
I'm here today because Cynthia is a constituent of mine in Seacroft in Leeds, so it's a great pleasure to be here. But I first of all would like to say thank you so much for calling us. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here today to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda, it is a time for deep reflection, remembrance and solidarity. This commemoration holds great significance, not only as a reminder of the immense suffering and tragedy that the Rwandan people endured, but also as a testament to the strength, resilience and spirit of survival that emerged from the darkest of times. During the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi in Rwanda, women who were sexually assaulted, infected with the diseases, remained deeply scarred 3 decades later. Many women in Rwanda had to carry with them long years of suffering because of bringing up children who were conceived through rape. Others were infected with HIV and have had to live with a condition all their lives. Many carry scars on their bodies because of the beatings they were given. Others had to carry the burden of their families because their husbands had been killed. They not only carry the wounds of history, but the burden of having to tell the story of their resilience as well. As such, we must acknowledge the unique and often overlooked struggles that women faced and endured during the genocide. When women bore the brunt of the violence and displacement, and many were subjected to unspeakable acts of brutality. Despite these unimaginable hardships, the women of Rwanda have stood as pillars of hope, courage and perseverance. Their stories, survival, resilience and the rebuilding of their lives are a testament to the indomitable nature of the human spirit. The plight of the victims and survivors of the genocide should never be forgotten. The profound loss, trauma and suffering that they experienced can never be undone. And it is our collective responsibility to ensure that their stories are heard, their pain is acknowledged, and their dignity is upheld. The survivors have shown tremendous strength and strength towards healing and reconciliation, and their unwavering determination to overcome the atrocities they faced is an inspiration to us all. As we remember the victims and honour the survivors of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, let us also reaffirm our commitment to creating a world where such atrocities can never, ever again occur. Let us stand together in solidarity, not only in remembrance, but also in the pursuit of justice, peace, and the prevention of genocide and other grave crimes against humanity. In closing, let us take this opportunity to reflect on what we can do individually and collectively to build a future rooted in compassion, understanding, and respect for human dignity. Let us honour the memory of the lives lost by working towards a world where the horrors of the past are never repeated.
Thank you very much. It's I that am honoured to be invited to speak here today. On behalf of the City of Leeds, in memory of all those who lost their lives in the appalling genocide, and in support of those who survived, remembering particularly those who came to UK to seek sanctuary, and those who are now living in Leeds. Leeds is a compassionate city. We aim to extend a welcome to everybody who lives here. Whether they've lived here all their lives, whether they came here to work or to study, or whether they came fleeing persecution, such as the Rwandan genocide and other sorts of persecutions that sadly are taking place in the world today. Everyone is welcome. Everyone has a chance to fulfill their potential and to lead a good, purposeful and fulfilling life and to feel safe. And this is our aim in Leeds, and I very much hope that everyone from every community, and in particular today this community, does feel safe in Leeds and feels welcome, alongside any other community that feels under pressure this time. Earlier this year, I was very delighted to install the World Peace Flame in Park Square in Leeds. Now, for those who don't know, the World Peace Flame was lit on 7 continents of the world back in 1999. And it was taken to different countries and installed in different places. And in Leeds, it came to Garforth. And the peace group there have built a beautiful garden around it and talk to schools about peace frequently and do a lot, but they wished it to be in the city centre. And for some reason, there is no World Peace Flame in the city centre anywhere in this country. So, as one of the things that I have done as Lord Mayor is to install a version of the World Peace Flame in the city centre in Park Square. And this is for those who aren't familiar with Park Square, it's a quiet place, a place of reflection, very beautiful, very green, lovely flowers, and it's a good place to go and just remember those who you may have lost, remember with sadness but also with gratitude for their lives, and to recommit to the idea of peace, not just in Leeds, not just in this country, but everywhere in the world. And it's solar lit, but it does glow at night, and I'm hoping it will be there for as long as possible. And it is possible to go to the City Library as well, to the Central Library in Leeds, and get a tea light which has been lit from the original Peace Flame, and then to have that in your home. Keep the energy alive within that flame of world peace. So this may seem idealistic, but I think if we aren't idealistic, how can we ever move forward? How can we ever learn from the past in order to recreate the future? This is something that we want to do in Leeds, that we want to do for the whole world. And so coming together to remember the events of the Rwandan genocide 30 years ago, and to bear in mind all the other troubles that are going on in the world at the moment, is very important. But we must never forget that we can also be hopeful and look to the future and pray and trust that things will be different in the end. Thank you.
Our poem is called Resilience Rising, a tribute to Rwanda. Our Rwanda, our beautiful Rwanda, you were hurt by hearts once trusted, by hearts once kind. In the darkness of despair, your spirit is confined. From the ashes you rose, like a phoenix in flight, a testament to the power of courage, of light.
In the year of 94, the darkness descended. 100 days of horror, the world's conscience offended. Yet in the face of evil, your people stood strong, resilient, determined, against all that was wrong. The scale and brutality that stain on history's page, but through the pain and suffering, you found the strength to engage. None intervened, yet your spirit endured, and in the end, justice prevailed, the oppressors were obscured.
From the hills of Rwanda, the echoes of memory, wherever we are. We gather as one in solemn grace, honor the past in solid grace. In the hearts of survivors, the flame burns bright, guiding us forward through darkest night. The time may pass, and distance may grow, our wandering is steadfast, and a brave will flow.
Our post-suicide children born after pain in the eyes of resilience of a nation wing. With each step they take, the promises made, never forget to carry forward the light. To surviving scouts we bear witness, your courage inspires, we strive relentless. Though darkness may linger, we'll carry the light, and unity will continue to fight.
For the children of tomorrow we strive to build a world where peace can thrive. With each step forward we honour the past. In remembrance our resolve will last. The RPF, a beacon of hope, a force for change. Their victory a promise that things would rearrange. Capturing all government territory, they brought things to an end. The genocide suffer, the suffering they mend.
So let us gather in reverence and grace, to commemorate, to honour, to embrace. For in our unity lies the power to mend, and ensure that such horror shall never descend. We are Rwandans, hope, future and pride. Wherever we are, let us honour our country and culture with a commitment to living an exemplary life for families and friends who have passed on. To YRCA, to YRCA, thank you, Murakoze.
I'm going to welcome our High Commissioner, His Excellency Johnson Musinge, for the keynote of the day. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Lord Mayor, Councillor, Susie, all distinguished guests in the room, fellow Rwandans, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to express our deepest thanks to each of you for being here at this solemn occasion in Leeds. And thank you to the Leeds community for convening it, for inviting us to be here with you. Thank you to those who spoke ahead of me for your profound messages. We gather here for the 30th Commemoration of the Genocide against the Tutsi. The 30th Commemoration is an important time in our journey of building our country, Rwanda. Since our independence in 1962, the past 30 years, since 1994, are the first straight period that Rwandans who have been classified as Tutsi, as an ethnic group, have lived their lives with no fear of being targeted, stopped, discriminated, killed, or denied any opportunity. They are also the first straight 30 years that no Rwandan of whatever background or circumstances has had to be required to identify by ethnicity. It's the first 30 years that the ethnicity card has played no role in our politics, in our electoral competition, in employment, in education, or anywhere else. For the first time, we have a generation, I think you have seen all these young people here, For the first time, we have a generation of Rwandans who know that only their Rwandan identity is their rite of passage to do, to be, achieve anything, or to reach anywhere. As long as they are a Rwandan, that's the only rite of passage. The past 30 years also represent a rebirth and the power of hope and the power of commitment. In 1994, Rwanda was nearly obliterated. We could have opted to give up hope and resign to some uncertain fate. But the struggle to liberate and transform Rwanda had never been downhill. It was always uphill. So we chose the uphill task to rebuild our unity as the guarantor and foundation if we were ever to rise and make sense. The 30th Commemoration is therefore also a testament that the foundation of unity resulted in incredible resilience. And here we are, united and working to ensure that future generations will protect and expand whatever we have achieved. Sophie, thank you so much. You all heard Sophie. She did not make a speech, but she bravely told us the horror she personally experienced during the genocide. It was a personal story. But you picked up something else. That during the genocide, survival was a daily, scary burden. Each other day one lasted did not mean they had survived. It only meant they would die tomorrow. This would be the solution, this would be the situation, this would be the expectation until they are killed or until they are rescued by the RPF and told that they are now safe and nobody would be hunting for them again. That was the typical surviving story in Rwanda. By that time, most people would have given up hope to live. And they didn't even believe it was a genuine rescue until it had somehow to be proved to them that it was this time genuine. Every genocide survivor carries this horror story in their memory. But they consciously choose not to be hostages, and they opt instead to remember, but also have a life and move on. Sophie represents thousands of other survivors who, like you had, survived by pure miracle. Sophie recently did a book, I think you saw it, she showed it to us here, about her testimony. It is entitled Singing Songs in Rwanda. The testimonies and strength of survivors help educate and contribute significantly to our shared desire to make never again a reality, and to transmit memory through generations, and to remind us that genocide ideology and genocide denial, after all, are real. No genocide happens without a plan, a preparation, and without state involvement. That is what history shows. The genocide against the Tutsi did not start with the machetes of 1994. It started decades earlier with state-directed ethnic populism, classification, discrimination, dehumanization, and over time, and all of them done with unimaginable impunity. The classification of Rwandans into ethnic groups and addition of our ethnic labels into an identity card were introduced by the colonial administration in the early 1930s. And those were the seeds. The rest was growth and entrenchment through the same colonial administration, through religion, and through false science, which set out to prove that Rwandans were different by comparing faces, noses, height, in utterly ridiculous scientific experiments, so-called scientific experiments. In 1959, Tutsis were violently attacked, killed, uprooted, and expelled to the neighboring countries. That was 1959 and 60. The post-colonial regimes did not reverse this aberration, but entrenched ethnic division as policy, eventually portraying Tutsi as a different foreign race, coining atrocious rallying calls, mobilizing all sectors of the population, and testing genocidal killings from time to time in the decades after independence before 1994. So in the lead up to 1994, lists of Tutsi to be, families to be, and individuals to be killed were drawn up, militias were organized, quantities of weapons were imported and distributed to citizens as tools for work. All these actions, while all these actions were happening, the world was watching. 1959 is not too far away. 1994 is only history. The world was aware. The world was watching. The international community was at all times represented at many levels. Before and during the genocide, the UN was on ground in Rwanda. Security Council debated in New York whether what was happening was a genocide or some other kind of killings for too long. The genocide, which began on the 7th of April 1994, was a planned, systematic, government-sponsored undertaking. It had been planned and tested for decades. Over 1 million of our people were murdered in 100 days in a genocide that was preventable and or stoppable. Many Rwandans and other people, not Rwandans, resisted the call to genocide and did participate in it and pushed back against it. Some paid the ultimate price for that courage. Rwanda will forever remember them and honor their courage. A generation later, Rwanda is transformed and renewed. Rwandans have focused on staying together, staying united, being accountable to each other as a country, as citizens, and thinking of ourselves as a people with this tragic past, but importantly, with a future to build. The justice solutions we resorted to after the genocide were drawn from our culture. You would probably have ever heard of a system called gacaca. You could Google it, it is available. It is a GACACA. It is a cultural dispute resolution system which allows for timely, truthful, inclusive, and restorative justice, where community mediation seeks out the truth and facilitates reconciliation and forgiveness. That was how we thought we could make our journey through our tragedy. Our economy is growing. There is progress in healthcare, in education, in gender equality, in life expectancy, in literacy rates, in women representation, among others. And Rwanda is positioning herself to be a hub for many things, for technology, for aviation, for finance, for tourism, and so on. And it is also positioning itself to be a sanction for people, to provide safety, to provide opportunity, for people to feel they are in a place where they know their rights are guaranteed and they feel their safety and their contribution to that safety every day. Rwanda is also positioning to contribute to causes of peace across the world and making a contribution to the best of our abilities. And Rwanda today is safe for Rwandans, and safe for all other people, wherever they may come from. Our justice system has come of age and is very much in charge of protecting the rights and freedoms so painstakingly secured. 30 years on, we still have challenges, not least genocide denial, and genocide suspects hold up across the world, some in countries we are closely allied with. Genocide perpetrators who are able or had the connections found refuge around the world and established genocide denial criminal networks. You will often hear of or read about misrepresentations of the genocide against the Tutsi as tribal killings or something they call Rwandan genocide, disingenuous claims of another genocide, and so on. I thank the United Kingdom for acknowledging that what happened is called genocide against the Tutsi. That vagueness is not innocent. It is called genocide denial, and it is always the last stage of a genocide. Perpetrators, their backers, and their successors in title can't live with the crime, so they do whatever it takes to deflect it, hide from responsibility, or to evade justice. We should therefore collectively and always challenge this denial. Let us also learn to differentiate from genocide denial and free speech. In the United Kingdom, the number of alleged genocide perpetrators remain at large. I am told that even close to Leeds, there are some suspects who reside there. We have always asked that they should have their day in court. We hope that this will happen before it is too late, due to their age or to any other circumstances that we may not foresee now. We ask the same of other countries, including Belgium, Canada, Finland, France, Germany, Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, Uganda, YRCA, and most have extradited, deported, transferred, or tried suspects on their soil. So we do not request for something that is strange or new or not doable. The genocide against the Tutsi happened in Rwanda, but it's a horrible crime against all of us. The responsibility, therefore, of keeping memory alive and of standing up against genocide denial cannot be shouldered by survivors and their descendants or by Rwandans alone. It should be our duty, all of us. And I want to thank you, Lord Mayor, and the councillors and the council leads for being here with us. Doesn't mean only you are here with us for this function. For us, it is deeper. It is you are here with us into this cause. We need to fight back, we need to push back against hatred, against discrimination, against dehumanization, against ethnic profiling, against any of these things that lead to a genocide. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Susan. All countries and all people have a responsibility to remember and to stand up against genocide denial and the ideology that underpins it. As we leave this event, let each of us think of our individual role in standing up for those we commemorate today and all others like them, and ensuring that never again becomes a reality. I thank you very much for your kind attention, and thank you for welcoming us to this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our High Commissioner, His Excellency Johnson Musingi. Always very happy to have you with us. I know it's a long journey for you. I'm really honored to have you with us here in this event. Thank you. I would also thank our speakers for today as we come to a close of this event today. And many friends of Rwandans. I realize a lot of people here are actually not from Rwanda. People who have come to support us because they were our friends and they're very close to our Rwandan community. And we're really honored and happy to have you here with us today. I would like to take this opportunity to say a special thank you to the chairman of the West Yorkshire Rwandan Community Association, Jimmy, for your selfless effort in developing our community and the work you have done to make today happen. Thank you, Jimmy.